We begin with a bit of a political earthquake here in Washington. Steve Bannon, the former top advisor and guru to Donald Trump, says he will now testify before the House of Representatives Select Committee investigating the Capitol Hill riots in January of last year. Bannon initially defied a congressional subpoena to testify, insisting his conversations with former President Trump were covered by executive privilege and therefore not something he could disclose before the committee. But over the weekend, Trump waived any executive privilege claims, although given that Bannon was not employed by the White House at the time of the riots, it's not clear that those claims were rooted in very much reality in the first place. Either way, Bannon will now testify before the committee, a reversal of course in which his lawyer said that Steve Bannon is willing to participate in a public hearing. The committee is expected to question the former advisor about his communications with Trump in December of 2020 regarding the certification of the presidential election results, as well as his many incendiary comments ahead of the Capitol Hill insurrection. Will the session be screened live to Americans? Well, one committee member says that's unlikely. Bannon is scheduled to go on trial next week. He's facing 2 contempt charges for refusing to testify or provide documents to the committee last year. He's at risk of a jail sentence if he's convicted. The development comes as the committee is preparing to air yet more evidence against former President Donald Trump this week. Those hearings are due to take place tomorrow and again on Thursday. WION's correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live now from New York City. Susan, those executive privilege claims that Steve Bannon was offering up always looked pretty flimsy. Now President Trump has officially, as it were, waived them and therefore created an environment in which Steve Bannon can testify. What is really going on here?
Well, 2 things. Flimsy, depending on who you ask. The January 6th committee, as you noted, believes that it was flimsy because Bannon wasn't employed. However, Donald Trump and his allies and his administration believe that they could stand the court of law. On the other hand, as you mentioned, there is a court hearing coming up for Steve Bannon regarding his, contempt trial. He has a trial for criminal contempt of Congress. Some believe that his, quote, willingness to testify, while it won't really cure that contempt, but it will sort of at least sway the defense in the direction that, that executive privilege was, first of all, justified, and second of all, perhaps at least, sway the jury that he was willing to testify. But on the other hand, there hasn't been a set schedule for this testimony. There are a lot of skeptics on whether or not this will happen. First, on the part of the January 6th committee, because, as you mentioned, he wants to testify publicly, which, it would give the January 6th committee an opportunity to prove itself to the skeptics, because this would be the best case scenario for those that are arguing that there is no cross-examination. But on the other hand, it's yet to be seen whether or not Bannon would even agree to testify behind closed doors or provide any documents. So a lot of moving parts and a lot of questions remain on whether or not this testimony would even happen or not.